Is wanting ambition and a partner dangerous? Is wanting ambition and a partner dangerous? Let me go ahead and play this clip for you guys.
This man that's gonna work in the office till 10 p.m. and never come home and help you with them kids, but you're gonna have the audacity to complain when you're the only person taking care of them kids. But you want ambition, right? And y'all got that big, beautiful house out in Long Island, and you alone and sad because he's at work because he got ambition, right? Now, I'm done told y'all, I'm a West Indian woman, so I appreciate someone who works hard, right? That's a value of mine. However, I'm very careful about the term ambition or ambitious, because many times they're going to prioritize that vision that they have for themselves and they had before you came over you and them kids. So we got to be real careful about that term. Hardworking, a provider, I appreciate that. But the ambitious part, the women say they want it until that man does not show up for them and does not show up in their home, and then that's a struggle bus.
Is wanting ambition and a partner dangerous?
Social media is dangerous because they exaggerate everything. It's so annoying to me. Like, it's always one extreme or the other. Can't we just have balance with things? Like, what woman wants a man who's not ambitious? What are we talking about? This is really weird that social media turns it into this extreme versus this extreme. Now, get you a man who has the balance. Like, it's common sense. And this is why I'm like, is this elementary school? We know this is common sense. You don't want somebody that's married to their work, but you don't want somebody that's just going to be at home either. You want an ambitious man, yes, but a man who loves his family and can balance both. We all want that. And men want, all right, that's it.
I think that the most ambitious a man is going to be is when he's trying to build. And that's why I always prefer the guys to be older, because in that grind stage, they don't really have time for you like you want. They have to focus on their goals so they can get to a position that they're trying to get to take care of a family. So I know younger guys hate this, but I advocate for dating older men because they aren't grinding, making sure they're the last one in the office, making sure they do all these extra things. They usually have already done that work, put that work forward. They have the name in their company and they're good, or in their job role, if they've transitioned or whatever. Even when they transition, they make sure they step up. So they have that security that they don't have when they're the intern doing everything they tell them to do, being the bitch boy. Well, sorry, not being the sorry, excuse my language, being their do boy, whenever they need something done and everybody's piling the work on you. That's because you're new. That's what young guys have to go through. But the older guys, they don't have to go through that. So I know, like, they don't like to hear this, but I tell women to date the men that have already gone through their race stage.
Yeah, I agree with that, because my husband, we're 5 years apart. And before meeting my husband, I was dealing with guys in my age range and they weren't ready. They were, in the build stage. So they weren't ambitious guys. So I was always telling them, like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. So that's where I feel like it's dangerous, because you have a certain expectation now for this person and they're not living up to that. So by finding a person in your range, in your bracket, you're not having to say, you need to be ambitious, you need to do this because, I have kids now, we have kids now, we need to, take care of these certain things. So the danger comes in is when you have this certain expectation for this person and they're not living up to it. So that's what I wanted to throw in there.
But you can see how that could be dangerous too, right?
Not living up to the expectation?
No, telling women to date older men.
Why is that
dangerous? Telling them to date men that's already at the finish line.
Not even my husband wasn't at the finish line. We actually built together. I was 22 and he was 27. And
fantasy girls.
I thought you were talking about me.
I'm not talking about the finish line.
Oh, okay.
The beginning stages is when you're working the hardest. The middle, you're coasting. The finish, you're already a foot out the door. So I'm talking about getting them in the middle stage after my boyfriend was 30 when I met, was 35 when I met him, and now he's 38. He's turning 38. So he's got years on me. And when he started out, he was grinding. He was in the military. He's now a contractor and he's slowed down significantly. He works from home now. he doesn't have to go to work and he makes significantly more than me. So I can't tell women not to do what I'm doing
So
and
what
it's
is,
working.
what is the purpose of telling young women to date older men?
So he'll have the time for you.
Because
Get
So
to
he'll
know
have
each
the
other.
time
You're not
because
wasting those years.
he'll be already established. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he'll be established. He won't be as he jumped from job to job. He's still trying to figure out what he's trying to do. That's not what you're going to be dealing
Exactly.
with an older guy.
So the dangerous part to that is if you tell a young woman, hey, date an older man or date an established man, a lot of these women don't qualify for established man.
Get your qualifications up.
So I'm saying that's a dangerous thing. You got to be able to meet a certain criteria, because a lot of these men that established, they want you to be like this. They want you to be able to cook. They want you to be able to. And a lot of women ain't trying to do that.
They obviously don't want a man that they don't want that man then.
And then one of y'all said I don't know if one of y'all said y'all had love language. Y'all had 5 love languages. What if y'all 5 love languages? Quality time. If your love language is quality time, and you say you want an ambitious man, how's that gonna work out?
Wait.
Definitely tough, but it can happen. My husband is an ambitious man. I didn't know 5 years difference was considered dating much older. I always thought it was like 10 and 20 years, but my husband and I were 4 years apart. He's older than me. When he was up for his promotion, that was like the hardest time because he had so much stuff he had to do in the office, and I had to make sure that I held things down. I couldn't like beg to see him so much, like as much as I normally do, but it does take a lot of balance. I know that's the key word for today, but it does take a lot to say, okay, you're super busy on these days. Let's map out some time on this specific day so we can have quality time. It's not always easy and it's not always possible, but if you want to have a healthy relationship, both sides are going to have to sacrifice something. That's just what it is. That's what love is about. That's what a relationship or marriage is about. If you're not that kind of woman to be put on the back burner sometimes, you probably shouldn't want an ambitious man because he's going to be too busy for you, and he's going to be doing it out of the name of love as well. He's going to be trying to provide for you and your family. And if you don't see it that way, if you don't see it as a way of love, you're going to be resentful and you're going to think that he's ignoring you. So I think it's very important for women to understand that.
And those women who don't lack appreciation. Anytime a woman complains about a man working, when he's actually working on moving the needle and trying to make progression for the household and his kids, and you got to complain about that, you lack appreciation.
You know,
I think they lack self-awareness too.
Huh?
I think they lack self-awareness too. They're not aware of what they actually need to be happy in a relationship. So they have the key things that society is telling them, but it's about what you need to feel fulfilled in your relationship. So you can't really go based off of, oh, this girl's husband's always working, but she seems happy. I'm going to expect that from my man, but I need attention. That doesn't make any sense.
That's an excuse. They aware, just like JR said, common sense. They know if this man going to work to build a living and a lifestyle for you and the kids, they know good and damn well by common sense that he gonna have to go to work. So they're pretty much aware. They just use that as excuse. They just don't appreciate it. It's a selfish mindset. They lack selflessness.
Well, I have a
So they're
question.
thinking about, oh, I want to be held. I don't care if you got to go work extra hours. I want to be held. I want to be caressed. I want to be courted. I want to be dated.
I want to say this before. I want to say before mistaken. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Bruce. Go ahead. I was just trying to get it in before mistaken. Yeah, and I just want to say this too is that I don't think a lot of women understand like what it takes, how much hard work it takes to actually be an entrepreneur. You know, it's a difference when you go to do a 9 to 5. You just go to work and you come home. When you don't have anything else to turn to, and your money, the lifestyle that you guys live depends on you doing whatever work you're doing, then you're on call 24/7. You're on call 24/7. And I think a lot of people need to understand that. And I speak to men, because I think men should hold down the household or either should be gravitating to do so to carry on much of the burden. But it's tough, man. It's like nonstop. And the best thing that you can do to support that man is to support that man. I'm not saying that you got to be a slave, but you got to be a little more. You got to understand the work that needs to be done. Also, understand how much stress goes in it. And maybe some days it's kind of hard to tell somebody to go to sleep and to make sleep a priority when you have so much that falls on you. I think one of the goals is to, if you buy into it, right, or if you're a good planner as a man, I think you only want to do these things short term. So if I'm grinding right now, the purpose is so that within the next 5 years, we could be living our life, traveling, exploring, and waking up when you want to wake up.
And I think that is part of it. That's what I was going to say. I think there's a difference between when ambition becomes a form of neglect. And I think a lot of times, men will say, I'm doing this for the family. This is for the family. But what good is that when you're not even there with your family? So I think there is definitely a balance. Do I think men should have ambition? Absolutely. But I do think that at some point you have to figure out when is enough enough. Is there a specific goal? Like JR said, how, let me just grind for these 5 years. Okay, so I have an end date. So I know, all right, let me figure out the things that I need to do within this time frame. But when you say I hit those 5 years, oh, now I'm gonna set this next goal. And I'm not saying you shouldn't, but if the goal is to be able to raise your family, be with your family, and most of your time is not with your family, I think that's a form of neglect. And I don't think men kind of understand. And it's not that the woman is being selfish, it's an expectation that you spend time with your family. And for most of us, a lot of time, both of us are working, for most couples, both couples are working. So if we're spending most of our time apart all day, then we get home and then you're still grinding to do something else. Where do we get that quality time? How do we bond? And if one person is feeling neglected, that's not going to be a strong, happy, healthy relationship. Unless you're a person that's okay with, not bonding with your partner and just the money is more important.
And a lot of times when they have that deadline.
Yeah, I like to say something. It seems clear that, women do live life on easy mode because, women don't understand what it takes to be attractive as a man. And the things that make a man attractive take time to acquire. And to address the topic, you never hear women they'll say they want an ambitious man, but you never hear women say, I want to build with an ambitious man. It's always, I want an ambitious man, but not, I want to build with an ambitious man. Because the intent seems to be to move in, not build. And sort of at that point, you got to really ask yourself, do you want to go through those formative years, seeing that man build and see that fruit in that time together? Or do you want the finished product? Do you want to wait at the finish line and have that finished product? Because I've seen dudes who have been at the top of their game and then they had to reset and they had to kind of rebuild. Businesses are successful, and then sometimes you hit the recession. There's a lot of businesses that did not survive COVID. This is not a business that did not survive the '08 crash, right? And what's coming ahead, who's to know who will survive that? So there's always a lot of restructuring to happen. And I think the conversations need to have is, in the event that something was to happen to our business or it does not sustain and the sacrifices need to be made, what are you willing to cut back on? What sacrifices are we willing to reset that we had going in order to keep this thing riding out? So I think those conversations people don't have. It's good when it's smooth sailing, but You know, tough times don't last, but tough people always do.
So I feel like in the military, they experience this a lot. Like they go through the growing phase, they go through the multiple deployments, multiple field exercises, and the wives are there taking care of the house, being patient, waiting for his retirement date. But the thing that I see people break up when they're like, oh, they've been together for years, how could they get divorced? Is when it's finally coming to the time where she's waited and he's supposed to retire, and these men take the promotion instead of getting out like they promised their wives they would do. And you have no idea this type of animosity these women have for these men after they have waited and waited and waited, moved and moved and moved, taking care of the kids all through all of your deployments, only for you to come back now and say, well, they offered me this promotion. She don't give a damn. She don't want to hear it. And it's been over 20 years now because you're not getting out. So it's like once you set that deadline, once you give her that this is the date, you can't go back on that. So you have to be sure when you decide that I'm going to start slowing down for my family. And a lot of times women will get on board with that, but you can't be changing the date because it's just a letdown. They feel very disappointed. Like, I don't know if you're ever going to get out. I don't know if you're ever going to stop trying to reach the next promotion. They're always going to dangle it in your face. You're going to take it every time. Like, it just makes them feel like you're not really prioritizing ever being a family man, which is what they signed up for.
And they should be single.
Well, let me say this because I haven't had a chance to talk yet, man. Again, I don't understand. I just don't understand, y'all ladies. Y'all want all of these things in a man. Us men got to be super Negroes. You got to fit all the bills, but you want this lavish house where you could be a stay-at-home mother and take care of your kids and homeschool your kids. But yet, in order for these things to get taken care of and paid for, that man got to go out there and grind. And he better be ambitious if you want him to be a six-figure dude. He's not going to be a six-figure dude and not ambitious. I don't know any unambitious person who's a six-figure. I don't. But for those guys, in order to be that, he's got to be ambitious. So what's the problem? You can't have it all. Even during his latter stage y'all talking about, he may be a manager, whatever company, but guess what? He's always on call. So he can get that call 2 in the morning. We got an issue down here. We need for you to come down. On the law firm, he might have to take the most high risk case, the big cases where I can't rely on my youngins, the young lawyers to handle this case. It's a high profile case. I got to be there. I got to be one to take this case. It may take me 6 months before this case is done. So what are y'all going to do then? Y'all going to complain? Well, my man's not there. My husband's not there. The kids need it. No.
But when are y'all ever satisfied?
When you get that direct deposit every other week, you're going to be happy then. You're going to be happy when you ain't got to go and worry about doing all these other things because you're taken care of, or you maybe have a nanny, or you have a cleaning service come through there maybe every other week. You're okay with that then. I just think what it is, you just want that man there so he can listen to you, so you can unload all your burdens, lay him down at his altar. And guys, guess what? When he comes home from them 12 to 16-hour days, he's not looking for conversation. He's looking for a hot meal and a place to lay his head because he's tired. He's worn down. He'd have put all his work in while you was at home taking care of the family, making sure they good. I was out there in them streets doing what I need to do to make sure my family has the money we need in order to do these things, to make sure we have groceries in our refrigerator, make sure our lights are on, our water is on, make sure you have them extra necessities. Oh, little Johnny needs braces. Okay, we got to make sure we get that. Okay, no problem. Her daughter, she wants to take music lessons. Cool, maybe some piano lessons. Cool. I got to make sure we have a music teacher who comes over here every other week in order to teach our daughter how to play the piano. Or they want to involve themselves in other activities. This shit ain't free. The lifestyle, the neighborhoods you live in, they're not free, depending on your state. This shit is not free. I have to go to work and pay for this because you don't want to go work with me. You're not about 50-50. You're about the man taking care of me. Cool, I'm going to do that. But you got to take the good as well as with the bad. And it may not be spending all of this quality time with you, But let me tell you what I will do. When we do have this quality time, I will make sure I turn my ringer off and I will focus on you. So don't take that time I'm taking off so you can go to the nail salon and go hang out with your girlfriends on girls trips when I'm taking the time off in order for us to be together as a family, right? Because this is what you wanted. This is what you require. This is what you ask of me.
I just want to know, when is it ever enough? Like, I get you men are so ambitious and you want to protect, provide for the family, but when is it ever enough?
When we can change our lifestyle to a moderate lifestyle for you ladies and y'all be okay with it.
When we retire and you no longer want to get a Birkin bag.
If we're able to move into that middle class home, then it's enough. But that's not what
y'all
you
reach that and you still are.
No,
Y'all reach that. You guys reach that and you still go. I swear.
Well, I can't speak
It's
for
the
all.
truth.
I
Okay.
can't speak for
We'll
all.
pretend.
for
We'll all
all.
pretend like
missing out on
doesn't
key
happen.
moments in your family. Like,
Ask Tom Brady wife if enough is enough. Man retired, she still won't file them divorce papers.
Some men are just not smart about it. Like some men are not smart about it. I think one of the goals is to have your money work for you. So when you invest, have your money work for you, then that way you don't gotta be there. So just still create more time. If you have to be there all the time, then are you really reaching your goal? Because now you still putting miles on you mentally. One of the things that I talked about at the railroad was that if you guys are putting so much wear and tear on your body every day. Like I've seen guys that retired and then 2 years later we hear that they passed away. One of the things why some guys keep going is because if they don't go, then that's when they start to like shrink. They just look different. And I use my grandfather as an example. When he retired from the railroad, he went to go work for Enterprise and used to just bring the cars back and forth or whatever he was doing. But he had to do something because if he didn't stop moving, then he was going to just continue to get older and older at a fast rate. My grandfather was always moving, unlike my grandmother, well, my late grandmother. But he was always moving. And so you seen how my grandmother slowed down and my grandfather to this day, he still drives. He's like 82, 83, still driving, still playing cards, still doing things because he always kept moving. So I think it's important for some men to always have something to do. Because when you just sitting around not doing nothing, anybody, that's when you get lazy. Even when you try to walk, now you tore ligament because you've been sitting down so much within the past month and now you can't even move around because you're not active. So
The crazy thing about it, when I got married, I didn't realize I was putting pressure on my husband just by saying the things that I wanted. And it wasn't even like crazy thing like a Birkin bag. It was just that I want this, this 2-story home. So he would like try to, try to get those things for us until I started seeing him like stressed out and like overly working. I'm like, babe, like we don't need any of that, like we're good. So I think one of the reasons is that, us as women, we can, put a lot of pressure on our men and, they're obviously trying to live up to that. So you may see them, doing things that will bring negligence to the family. So I did notice that and not even realizing it. That was just crazy. So now we're in a better place. I'm like, yes, like I need you here. Like, especially when you have kids, like everybody, all hands on deck. Like, I don't want to be a married woman feeling like I'm a single mom. So that was.
So Golden Court, you agree with me? Is that what you're saying? Are you coming to the dark side?
Oh, I guess so. I don't know.